Oh, so there's something.
on Saturday, or we gotta be nasty about the
Whatever you want.
on Monday?
Whatever you want. I'm going Sunday.
You going Sunday? For extra 24 hours, nothing but it.
I'm not fasting till then, though.
You know? Alright, well, I'm definitely gonna do it.
All right, what's up, y'all? Let's get it. Okay. What's up? What's up? The sound? Oh, really? My bad. What's up, Joe, Jeff, Jay, Karen, Nick, Harsh, Brandon, the Brandons, Seth, Gerardo, Vaughn, Puccini, was good. Alfredo, Nate, hello, Corey, Greg, Jane, yo, buenos dias, morning, Janko, Ruben. All right, let's get it. We have, wow, we had such a massive meltdown last night with metals. Absolute bloodbath out here, just dropping. And as soon as when you thought it was over, I don't think so. And another one. So massive moves. Also, by the way, with metals, we are, well, with gold specifically, there's a different contract. So make sure you're on the right contract. GCQ or MGCQ. So just so you guys are up to date there. Everything is looking nice and dandy there. Make sure your copy traders are on point as well. So just so you're, everything's looking good here. But yeah, big crash down. I still think it's worth at least kind of seeing where we're at with the previous contract. There's a little bit of liquidity, but just so you kind of see where we're at in the big time frame. So these, like we see that GCM here got all the way down to this area, 364. I think a part of me still thinks that we might even go another notch lower into this still. We're getting pretty close. So I think that's possible. Right now, we saw a pretty huge recovery. So we've been in a bearish trend here since last night. Well, we just have been in a bearish trend. And then really, I didn't have a trade to take prior, like to catch this crash down. But if you're looking at this from the 1 minute time frame, there's definitely a huge spike right here. So right on the open of the day, you see a massive move to the upside. The market kind of chops up and down. It breaks below briefly before we get one final spike to the upside, and it just really crashes down. So this right here, it's interesting to think, did this already mitigate, like, what did we already see an exchange from buyers to sellers here? And I don't really think so. So I think we're going to see a big sell-off getting into here, but then you also have the added move right here. So this move clears another wave of liquidity. So this one takes out these, hold on, I gotta turn this into black. So that takes this out, and then obviously it sells off as well. So I really was expecting us to kind of get into these selling zones first, or last with gold. It looked just very clean. But right now, what I'm seeing here with silver, because silver also has this last push up, one more move. That's the mini. The mini here doesn't quite break above, and I don't think silver's contract changed. So I don't know about sells, because there just is a lot of trending liquidity right here. So I am curious if we're just gonna break through. So I'm borderline, I'm open-minded on maybe like a half risk sell if silver just drags to get up to this zone. Maybe I take a position, but even then, I kind of want to just see where we go here. So are we going to get here first? Also, there's totally the possibility that that doesn't happen at all, and that the market wants to crash down one more time, and that we could see a buy out of this area too. We saw a huge liquidity sweep here before the market. So this takes out during London, several hours worth of retail buys before the market kind of squeezes and rallies. So you see that with gold, and you see that with silver as well. Silver crashes down, takes out a few hours worth of liquidity, setting the new London lows over here, and then rallied as well. So yeah, there's some imbalance over here. Right now, if things were to crash, it does look like gold would hold up better. So we'll kind of see how this, what the market does here. I would be surprised if it doesn't reach here and then drops. I think that's more likely, but anything's possible. With that being said, we have indices kicking things off here in just a couple minutes. So we will see a little spike in volatility here shortly. And then you guys can kind of see the markets look pretty similar, indices, to what metals were doing. So we just saw metals work their way to this zone, that last push up during Asian session before it all crashed. S&P, Dow way more bearish, and then NASDAQ as well getting to this area. So what we can do now is we had actually a good amount of a nice setup here from yesterday. So one of the I think the most abundantly clear opportunities in the market right now is this sell here with NAS. NAS definitely kicks things off, goes super bearish, just melts away, and then not only do we kind of we reject here and we just kind of build up more liquidity and start reversing, but then we end up back down here again. So during Asian session, for a few hours, we trade even lower. So I do think structure is good enough for shorts over here. Don't necessarily believe we need to trade all the way. I'm not going to go looking for lower lows. I'm going to just trade inside of the range. But I do think we can start working our way higher still in the range that we're in right now. So going back to just the Asian session, I don't necessarily yes, we kind of take out this high here, some of this imbalance, and then we start dropping, but it's not enough for me to sell. So I don't really, I'm not really looking for sells quite yet. And then NAS, I think it looks like it wants to pump, whereas Dow just took out all of this liquidity and then is playing into this low of this session right here of Tuesday, end of New York session. So this is one last push down before everything starts to crash. I don't think this is enough for buys, at least not for me. Yes, we're seeing opposing movement. So if you believe that we're going to get reversals just in general, take your shot. Take your shot right there, or maybe you just did. So you had this last push down right here. A little bit, a small short move, rallies, but it's just not. This isn't to me, it doesn't look like a textbook liquidity sweep and then continuation at all. It just looked pretty minor. So now that the market has broken yesterday's low, it's trading into you could say this order block right here. So the interesting thing about this move is that this is where we get the market. So for example, where are we? Where's the 4 hour? Is this it? Actually, never mind. Scratch what I was about to say. Yeah, so you get one more push down here after the market continues. So you see this drops in. This is a typical break and retest. So buyers definitely enjoying the setup in here, and then the market rallies. So maybe the market wants to reject out of here. That's really none of my business. Now that we took out New York lows, though, this took out a very key area of liquidity, right? We have retail buying over here, so trying to catch a low. Now we sweep Tuesday's New York low. We take out Wednesday's New York low, Tuesday's Asian session. So a major source of liquidity has just been swept. And from here, I think we can look for possible buying opportunities now that we have a clear liquidity sweep. So at this point in the market, what we're looking for is, this thing to kind of, one, do what it's doing. So take out clear levels of liquidity. Two, we want to see this establish some sort of demand, right? So kind of see it create something like this before it then comes back and rallies. So something like this is what I would want to see with the market. Meanwhile, NAS cleared the high, traded into this last little push right there, taking out some liquidity here. This, I don't know, I wasn't really like I saw a possible trade out of here. I think this was what, Asian Open. I actually talked to Nance about this last night. But I was like, that's okay. That's like a very mid setup Asian Open, and then it drops. But I guess it was good enough. Anyone short NQ? The timing is what I guess makes it really interesting. Here. So yeah, let me know in the chat if you decided to make a trade out of here, whether it was shorting NQ, longing Dow after it broke the low. Maybe you shorted S&P here. Now we're seeing S&P start to fill the imbalance. And S&P is the interesting chart. This is the chart that's the most interesting to me, because S&P has been relatively sideways. Like, we break above here, it doesn't quite hold the high, so it starts to lose momentum. Here's the low, so it also struggled to maintain below the low. So clearly S&P is struggling to go bearish with structure. It feels more of the imbalance over here. So we work our way lower, and then it plays out of this imbalance to work its way higher again. From here, when S&P broke below these lows, it was down here for about 2 hours, a little bit less. So it gets below, trades here for a little bit, comes back up. So this looked like a shakeout for a buy, right? Sweeps liquidity, establishes demand, shows that we didn't really want to trade down here. Actually trades into this during London session, plays out of last points of support over here, and then makes the continuation. So now we've seen the market break above on structure. After it failed to hold this demand, we got above these highs again. This sits up here for 50 minutes or so. So the question now is that enough? Is the market overall going to start moving towards the upside or not? And so we have a couple of things to consider. One, is Dow going to build enough sideways movement to look for buys? If it just crashes immediately down, I'm not as inclined to take that. And then the other setup that I think is probably going to be the winner of the day, like what I feel pretty happy about here, and I'd have to double check with minis, but this sweep down here, this push down, continuation. So we see a nice clear push to this order block, and then we rally. If we look at this on the mini, right? The mini trades into the order block, which was just a clean sweep push down. A little choppy on the way out, but definitely sweeps some liquidity here. So I can see either one of these going in our favor here. So I'm kind of going to be reading how we work our way down to these levels, and then I'm going to have long positions here just ready. Ready to go. Dow here, moving sideways. This is what I want to see, right? Sideways movement like this just shows that when the market crashed all the way down, like below 50,500, you know, it drops just such a huge amount that it was designed to. Right now, it's been moving sideways for about 5 minutes. Not the most time in the world. At the way that it's doing this now, I'm open to a half risk setup. Which, one second. Here, let me make sure I'm in the right account. Oh, I gotta log out of here. Okay, so from here, all right, here we go. So now, yeah, we're starting to move sideways. I want to have a buy position around here. Ideally, we get another push down. So this is what I want to see, right? This just chopping up this way. Yeah, so I want to see something like this. Stop over here and then run this thing up. You got some equal highs over here. Would be a fantastic trade. Equal highs. You have more over here. So especially now that it's taken just multiple days worth of liquidity, it's just having patience enough for this to drop into the area. Meanwhile, if we look over, NQ is still slowly pushing down. So I'm gonna have an alert if we start to break below over here. And then from there, we're seeing gold with a pretty minimal retracement. Silver dropped a lot more aggressively. So the sell that I like quite a bit is actually here, with silver just looks like it would work its way back up to here a lot slower. So we'll see. If gold wants to keep dropping, then gold's gonna keep doing its thing. And then maybe we'll have a buy position over here too. Something like this. This could happen later. It doesn't necessarily have to happen now. So we'll see. But if it does, we will be ready. And then oil. Oil. So oil has been just grinding its way all the way down. So it wasn't until yesterday, pre-New York session, where we spiked finally down to here. And then I didn't have a re-entry. Like, because we broke this high right here, for me, I don't love when the market doesn't really maintain bullish structure for too long. Here it was kind of weak. So this working its way down, I didn't have the buy, I didn't have the trigger pulled. Now, I could have used correlation, with other like or inverse correlation with other assets. So for example, if there was like a setup that looked good for sells somewhere else at the exact same time, could have been the cue for buys, but you know, you don't have to catch everything. And with that being said, this was the final push down right here. So we see a very, very clear sweep yesterday during New York session that takes out a good majority of what was building up into New York Open. So from here, the market just keeps pushing. Then we really start to get a change in direction. We're finally going bullish here. So here you see that we get above the previous highs and we maintain these highs. So now I really like continuations with oil. I think we could start to get genuine reversals. This is where like live account swing trading for me makes sense. 4-hour pullbacks, deep retracement. So you can see how the retracement here is well over 886. Now on the small time frames, we're starting to go flip back to bullish. So these are the early signs. When you get the smaller time frame, 5-minute, 15-minute, to start to align with your 4-hour structure, that's when you start getting into swing trading territory. Now, if you have multiple accounts, or if you want to twin trade, that I totally understand that. I'm gonna personally be holding this buy for a bit. So yeah, gonna let this one run once we get back down to here. And so yeah, I'm looking for a nice longing opportunity here in the market. And then intraday, I'm cool with taking this to just a higher high. Let's see. I feel like you should be able to make notes on these, but that's fine. So this is intraday. And then swing. I'm gonna put 2 here. So for a swing trade, it's more about zooming out here, and this one, filling the gaps makes a ton of sense to me. I don't think we're done in this range quite yet, and even if we are, right, we don't have to go to 4-hour higher highs. We can just trade to key levels. So whether it's trading to 96 right here, or whether it's going even further, because not only is there a gap, but there's also a more of an imbalance and another push up here. So I do think we can get back to 100, maybe one last time here, at least for now. So trading over to here, just shy of 100, 11.6 R. Obviously, that's some good stuff right there. So yeah, those are both perspectives that I have with this. But to keep it in range for the day, potentially today, I'll have this here. So here's the chart on oil. All right, so I'm gonna start putting some of these in this section. May 28, 2026. We have oil. All right. Let's see how these indices are doing. Gold starting to rally. Oil still dragging its feet. so Dow got too excited. Dow absolutely ripped. Lame. Wanted the trade, yo. And then NQ continuing to just go lower. So we're now we've seen Dow recover completely New York Open. So it's trading above New York Open. Really, really, really aggressive and strong movement here. And then NQ is working its way towards this push down. I am going to trade this NQ setup here. So I'm going to take this position. I understand there's a little bit of an imbalance down here. So if we get down there, that's a loss I'm willing to incur. I think we're just about done with this move. So yeah, that I'm cool with. And then we have S&P that's basically getting into this area. S&P doesn't really have anything to rebalance over there. So I don't know, I feel like we don't really need that to do all that much. But this is going to be my setup. I'm going to set a limit here. 425. Okay, I'm okay with that. So one more sweep into here, taking out some of this support that we're seeing right there. That's about it for me. So I got 5 contracts, 5 micros here. And then going for like a 3.5R. Does that give us reversals anywhere else? Let's see. Silver looks like it could be ready for reversal. Not that I would take a trade there. And then oil could, let's see. Oil's moving. No, it doesn't really have a trade. All right. Now, what I don't look at as much is the majors, but the majors also weren't setting up as much. What set up kind of well was a shakeout here with Australian. Pretty big spike down during Asian session, moved sideways here during London, and then one last leg down before it rallied. So decent. All right, so NQ getting into our zone. This is where sometimes you can have, if you have the technicals for it, you know, market execution makes sense. I think getting below these lows is what I think is going to make sense. Hopefully that's the case, but let's see. Reacting aggressively off the open. Big push immediately off the open. Don't love that. You don't have to do all that. You can get down here a little lower. And funny enough, that sent Dow going too. So this still can go lower. Here's where we start to see the push down on a even smaller time frame. But if this moves, it's like, for example, this is 62 points. If this reacts 62 points or more, then that's it for me. So got pretty close already. I wouldn't be surprised if this keeps ripping and I actually end up just missing the setup. So relatively aggressive move off the rip. If this happens to just lose steam and work its way down from here, I would still take it. If it keeps pushing another, what is this, 10, 15 points, then that's it. Sadly, I know it sucks, but and what's funny too is I had a feeling, I was like, that's why I mentioned the market execution thing. I was like, something is telling me we're not gonna go that deep into this one. So yeah, unfortunately, as you saw, that missed, but it's okay. It's okay. You will make bigger mistakes. You will lose more money chasing the trade, trying to figure out and make some sort of quantum physics formula onto why you can chase this. Like, well, if I flip it upside down and spin myself around 43 different ways, then, you know, it makes sense. Like, just move on. It's okay. So, and I say this because I've made this mistake way too many times. Like, throughout my journey, what always costed me more was never the trade that I missed. It was never the loss that I was supposed to take. What has always cost me more was being in trades I was never supposed to be in. Always. That's always been the case. And I can safely say, after reviewing thousands of hours of traders' executions, journals, live breakdowns, that like what we do in the syndicate, that's where the biggest mistakes come. If you're like, for those that go tilt, it's because you never truly accepted the loss in the first place. You going tilt almost always happens it usually starts to unravel on trades that they're not really part of your system. And because you haven't really bought into the ideas, then you also haven't accepted loss. You haven't released that money. And that's a perspective that you need to have. When you draw up mark up a chart, when you put your money at a limit, or when you execute, in that moment, there needs to feel a genuine release of the money. Like, truly let go. If a part of you is holding on to it, then you already aren't going to trade as well as you could be. Because the philosophy of trading, think about the word, it's a trade. A trade means that you're exchanging something. So you can't get anything without being willing to exchange. So when you open a trade and you're not willing to exchange 500 to make 1,500, 50 to make 150, 5,000 to make 20,000, if you're not willing to do that, you might in your head think so, but if emotionally, if there's a sense of attachment to that, then it's over. So a little extra focus on that, because, and I want to talk it through because it's a little irritating. Like, would I love to be in this trade and we'd be up, you know, whatever, like a 1.5 R or 1 R, whatever? Yeah, it'd be awesome. But that's not the case, right? So, okay. We had a good bounce from here. If the market doesn't rip up to here, and all it gave, if all it was going to give was a short-term move, then things are a little interesting. Now, on the other side, if it wouldn't have reacted this aggressively, I would have said, you know what, maybe we just played out of an order block. Like, maybe we just played out of here. But we already had seen the market rebalance and reject this area right here. So I'm okay with just saying, you know what, this was the mitigation. Like, that's it. It's a wrap. That's fine. Now, would I still buy Dow? Right now, my answer to that is no. And here's why. We broke above where we started to sell off from. So we completely filled all of this imbalance. and we have failed to make any sort of higher high. So it just doesn't seem like for example, if you're looking for a break and retest, if you're a break and retest seller, then this hasn't really lured in much of that at all. So this doesn't really make sense to me anymore. Maybe we go break some highs and then this is a completely different trade. But for the time being, sadly, not going to be the case for me. Yeah. So market on NQ came back, kept pushing higher. Okay. So NQ might keep running. Metals still pushing. Gold wants to keep going. So here's what I wouldn't do as well. I'm not going to be looking for sells on gold. Even though there's pretty good, like it looks good, right? Spike up, another one. And how many times, guys, have you seen a setup that looks pretty good? You're like, man, this setup looks great. You want to take it, or maybe you do, even though you know that there are signs that there's other options. So the fact that silver has a pretty similar setup, right? Silver has the same kind of a sweep up. Silver's also lagging behind over here. For me, I don't know. I don't see this one playing out. Unless, here's the difference. Unless, and here's maybe why silver or gold could play out, even though I wouldn't prioritize it. This does look like a liquidity sweep. So silver takes out the highs, takes out retail buyers here, tons of them. So goodbye. Clears them out, and then immediately comes back down. Now we've been squeezing, moving sideways. So now this is definitely like luring in retail buyers right there. So we start to see a big push. The market comes down, loading up on retail buyers. So if this were to go up again, and let's say this could be giving us like that shakeout type of setup here. So there's a possibility silver here wants to sell off some more, which is what I was saying earlier, how it looks like silver still has an imbalance to come tackle on. So there is a chance that we see something there. And then that brings us to oil that's still kind of just more so squeezing, not really trending trades for me. I was starting to look at majors before I think it was that NQ alert went off, so let me continue that path. Australian gave a clean shakeout here, so you saw this was, and I like these because I think these just serve as good case studies. So you see a lot of retail buying up here. So this is multiple. This is a really good example. Clears out liquidity here and here. So there's just a lot happening. So we can mark that up here. I think this is just for lesson's sake. All right, so sweep of higher time frame liquidity. This is days worth. The market comes back in. So here, you see the market rebalance. And hold structure. So it didn't break above or anything. It didn't need to. This trade doesn't require that. It moves sideways. It's building up consolidation, just kind of loading up, and typical during an Asian session. And from here, right, this is where you have peak. This is like peak, break and retest sellers. So this is the retail. Let me rephrase that. This is like break and retest seller trap right there. So this lures them in. Sell stops are also triggered. This is also the entry for the shakeout. What did I just do? That's the entry there. So this is a nice little shakeout case study here. So you can look at this. Let's see, maybe I'll go 30 minute. Maybe it'll look better. All right, let's see here. Like this. And then even just profit, you know, looking for a take profit, just taking out liquidity into imbalances is good. Not a massive move, but you know, it's still something. And then you have an order block that you could have targeted here for a clean 2R. So yeah, I mean, it looks good. This is just like a pretty decent setup. I think I wanted this one, you guys to have this just as a case study. So let me go and share this just in the chat. Is it in here? All right, so shake out. Okay, here you go. So what is this? 6A London session entry. All right, so there's that. Okay. Execution wise, if there's anything else going on right now, let's see. I mean, pound did something really similar as well. Wow, pound took out even more. This was a huge sweep. All of Monday, Tuesday, so like last week's. Sheesh. The downside of it, I mean, here's where it started to sell off from, and it was a pretty minimal move. Chopped up, came down. I wonder, let's see. CAD was way more bearish, not enough. We have Euro here making a decisive move, clearing out some of these lows, basically following along. Now Euro's an interesting trade. I wonder what you guys think about this, but Euro's interesting because for a couple of reasons. So Euro gives this massive pump right here. This is Wednesday about 7 a.m. Central. It's like an hour and change before New York open. And you have Australian spike up the same way, but not nearly as aggressive. Nothing really does the same way. So now we're starting to get into the zone where this cleared the high. The question is, when the market gives this lower low here, is this a sign that this is still bearish, or was this mainly a liquidity capture? So that's the decision you have to make, all right? So the market trades below here. It's an aggressive move down, and it is below these lows for about 9 hours, 10 hours. So it spends quite a bit of time below here. But what was the real motive? Is it worth selling still and catching a smaller risk reward? That's the question. Yen is still selling off. I have yen buys, but way down here. And we worked our way all the way down. So I have this one here. And there's plenty of sells that I'm open to. So I'll share this idea too in today's setups. We have, what is this, yen? All right, 6J. This one I've been waiting for forever. And then Mexican peso also is like right there. I like peso idea because it looks like it's already loading up liquidity as well. And we have some up here. So this one looks like it's gonna be a pretty good setup. This one all month has been just loading up. So some of these are out of the character, right? Like we don't always trade peso or the yen, but I am a fan of these when we are higher time frame. I think it's a lot easier to get pretty good, higher probability plays there. Okay, so recap here with NQ. Nice push down, nice move back up. It wasn't a slow, trending move over here. It took its time. I mean, it moved pretty quickly. So I'm not in the belief that I'm not going to sell out of here. Maybe some of you will. Yes, it was very much New York open. Takes out the high. I don't know, something about how we went down and up really quickly like this aggressive U shape. That to me typically is not it. So, but with that being said, a lot of other things are lining up. So for example, gold. All right, gold working its way up to here, getting closer and closer to these sell zones. Okay. Silver, like we talked about, was building up some liquidity here. It actually spiked down one last bit right before. So that's interesting. I would have loved this better if it just left equal lows, but it went one push down. Still making more of it, but yeah. So gold takes out liquidity here. It's not quite at the sell zones yet. So I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna hold off. Clearly silver is pushing higher at a slower pace. So I'm gonna still keep waiting. Meanwhile, let's see, where did we get? NQ instantly got to the zone, aggressive rejection. I haven't looked at the chat, so did anyone end up taking anything that we've seen so far? She's gone. Yeah, you're in, had your own plan, cool. Quote of the year. Which one? Capital preservation over capital duplication, for sure. Should have won a Grammy. That's hilarious. Thanks, most smaller stop as well. NQ shakeout buys. Not really. Like, not for me. I feel like Nas sweeps doesn't really take out too much liquidity. Daniel, I feel like you're a little bit more, and you can correct me, bro, but I feel like you've been a bit more anxious for trades, lower quality trades. So if you're close to a passing or getting a payout, let me know, because I'm curious. Because typically, like, I feel like you're asking questions that I know you have better analysis, to be fair. I feel like you're a little jumpier for the market right now. And let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, great move out of here. I'm going to delete that because that trade's over. Would have hit take profit. So directionally, we were good. Dow, as we talked about, kind of, it did chop up, but I don't know how I feel about the shakeout bias here either. So I'm gonna just keep letting this do its thing. I'm gonna avoid any of that, and then this is the Asian session highs. So where did this thing go? I guess it's not here. All right, so NQ's ripping on a mission. S&P just obliterated those highs. Gold is trading now into this zone that we had talked about. Right. So, yeah, nah, I'm good. Gold's over here. Maybe it sells right out of there. So up in this range, and then you have silver. It looks like it still have a bit more room to go. So am I selling anything here? No, I'm okay. If you traded gold up here, I respect it. For sure, I respect it. However, with silver having what I believe more than enough incentive to trade higher here, I would rather just, yeah, wait that out. And then silver pushing like this is just going to keep pushing gold, in my opinion. So unless that changes. So we can go split screen here. Have a good look. So here is silver trend line. Not quite there yet. Possible mitigation. I think it's a push though. I'd say that I would rather have it sweep and then maybe we get a shakeout out of there instead. That's like what I would prefer. So I'm okay with letting market like move all and just avoid things like that. Let's see what we did get though. So S&P just took out Tokyo highs and yesterday's highs of the day. You had Dow absolutely rip after. Okay, I think we're back. Are we back? All right, yeah, I think we're back at it again. My Wi-Fi went out or something. I don't know. It got weird. All right, we're good. Good here, good here, good here. Okay. So, like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. So we avoided this loss really well. So I'm happy for that, for sure. All right, we didn't take the L there. We've avoided quite a few actually. So we've avoided everything really today. We've avoided wins, but have also avoided losses. Now I want to talk about gold here in a second. Okay, so look at where we're at now. Look at how now, okay, now silver is pushing more aggressively while gold is fighting to stay in this zone. So gold is still in here. It's still like, yo, let me trade, come on. Now silver is in that zone here where we have this trend line. So just getting into this area. Will it mitigate? Will it respect the trend line? What's it gonna be? It could go either way. I think that with the trend line being here, and this to me is a sign of liquidity, I think it's gonna break through. Whether that holds, that's a different story. So I wanted to break through. From there, then I can start making decisions on if a sell is worthy or not. So let's see here. No trade on gold yet either. More than likely not taking that. Silver, more than likely not taking that either. Now, if I drew the trend line, and this is where I guess it kind of gets a little bit trickier, because like, where are you drawing this thing from? From the micros, it's a little bit more complex. But here it was loading up pretty nicely. Now it's breaking through. So now it broke through the trend line, and it's still within the zone. So, I mean, there is divergence. So if you wanted to sell silver, I actually do get it. I don't remember on Lucid what the idea is there, but for silver, I don't remember. Is it just the minis that you can trade on Lucid for silver? I think so. So I took a silver short. I took a silver short at 74.90. And I took it because we broke through the trend line. And that still was in position. So like right here. And this could easily lose. So I'm very much aware of that. 74.95. Here we go. And then this just working its way down to here is more than fair. So here's why, right? I wanted to see one, where did we get to with the trend line? And because we broke through the trend line and it was still in the mitigation zone, and we were also at that point, we're getting divergence where gold broke the high, the Tokyo high. That for me was like green line. So the mitigation zone here, the break through the trend line, and then the divergence with gold, all of that lined up for this moment. And now we'll see where we go from here. So I didn't take this on, I only took these on TopStep because I had, it's a little trickier trading silver with other accounts. Oil shakeout forming. Yeah, I dropped for me. My bad, guys. Close 1 to 3 on NQ. Beautiful. Let's go. Oil just went to hell. All right. Cool. Let's go look at it. Straight to jail. Oh, shit. Didn't even have time to lose. That's hilarious. I didn't even have the chance to lose money here. Well, that's nice. But I also would have avoided this trade. I wouldn't have taken this anyways. Remember, guys, that inverse correlation is very real. The fact that we had oil break structure and silver hold it was even another good confirmation for silver anyways. So sweet. Love that. Okay, cool. So now we've taken out all the liquidity. London, Tokyo, New York close. All right, we got all of them out. Now, if we get a clean opportunity over here, so let me just delete that. Okay. So let's So, yeah, now that we've done a massive sweep, we've been moving sideways here for, what, enough time, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Where is this thing? Here we go. So yeah, this is looking great for a shakeout for sure. So now the buy, right? Where does the buy go? There's a couple areas that you could look for entries. Number one, where we've seen support in the past. So let me zoom out a little bit. And there's a couple key levels. But one, this breaks below all of this. I'm not gonna look for a buy down here. Then you have a second tier for an entry, which is this area. So this right here was the low from yesterday's London session low, and also the low of the week and the low of almost the entire month. So anyways, we get that right there. From there, what we have is you have this area and then you have this area for support as well. Whereas those New York lows right here. Now, would I buy that high? No, that's way too high. Plus right now, what we're seeing is right now it's kind of moving sideways in this range. So typically what I like to see is for retail sales for it to look like they're going into profit. So this would want to drop off more. So I do think that's missing here. Now, guys, I would say if you're in silver, I did reduce my stop. So silver coming back up pretty fast. Came down and up relatively quickly. Wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't make it. All right, this trade might not work out. So I'm at a reduced, that way there's very minimal loss here if that's the case. And then that's okay, because that might set up, we might see oil play out. So to go into oil and how oil looks right now, it's been, huge move down. It's moving sideways. So really this could just break either here and just trade into this, or it might even go a little bit lower. I would honestly take it just breaking down to here and then going in this direction. So is a much higher entry, obviously, but then you also have to ask yourself, well, what's the reward that you're going for? With this clearing out all of this liquidity, is it an imbalance fill? Are you going for the Tokyo highs? Do you see a massive reversal in its future here? So how do you see that playing through? So, and then where does your stop go? So if we go to the 15-second here, do you need your stop loss down here? Can you afford to have it at a tighter price action? So here's CL, and here's the mini. Here's how it looks like most accurately. So entries below 88.50 make the most sense to me. The stop here, I mean, you've seen it chop up quite a bit. So I feel like this 87.50 is good enough. But obviously, if you want to be really secure, 87.11 over here is even better. And then, yeah, everything has been really effective, really efficient. So it really comes down to what kind of RR you want and then what you think is willing to play out or not. So I'm willing to see it with a little bit of a tighter stop. And then if we get down here, amazing. And taking out Tokyo highs today seems to be possible with all the liquidity that it has available. So this is the trade I'm looking for. And then the risk here is, let's see. Here we go. 6 contracts on oil. All right, so I have an alert if we start to work our way down. I thought I did. Maybe I don't. All right, my bad. So we'll have an alert here. Be ready for that. Meanwhile, like I said, you know, we saw silver kind of reverse pretty strongly. Let's see if that's gonna hold or not. Gold not quite giving me anything for a setup either, so I don't want to double down on metals right now. Where things got a little different is we did see Dow take out Tokyo highs and then immediately start to reverse pretty well. So we're seeing possibly you could see a shakeout with Dow. I saw a clean sweep of London, Tokyo highs. So the take profits would have been perfect for all of these buys that we were looking for. A lot of setups that almost triggered for me. Disappointing, but we just gotta wait for our spots. NQ here, interesting. NQ takes out Tokyo high. Dow takes out Tokyo as well. Doesn't quite get to New York highs. There's still this mitigation possible with NASDAQ up here. But I wouldn't force that one. I'm aware that Dow isn't pushing as aggressively. So reversals look like they're possible soon again, but if you want to find the best possible trade for yourself, then that's where you can just look across the board. So for example, this silver play to me looks vulnerable because oil still has to drop quite a bit, all the way down to here. So I think getting tagged out on silver seems kind of likely, unless you want to have a slightly wider stop just to be able to survive the move or something. Or if you're in there and then you want to just call it break even. And I can see that too. So it's all personal preferences. But right now, yeah, this oil setup is getting closer and closer. See if we can get that spike down and then rally. Now, one thing I want to add is for indices, if we keep seeing NQ rise and be the most bullish, then I wouldn't short it, and I would see if we can get into some sort of Dow short. So possible Dow shakeout, possible oil shakeout. Dow would be for shorts, oil would be for longs. So something like that. Let's see. No guarantees, obviously, that we get the big spike down. We already had seen that happen earlier. So just wait it out. Yeah, just wait it out, y'all. All right, let me look at the chat one last time before we wrap up. And silver, that's why I went break even on silver instead of reduce risk. Okay, cool. Yeah, good call. Good call. Awesome. Guys, as always, a pleasure here. Hope you're able to understand several things. I hope you learned about how to preserve your money, how to avoid unnecessary losses, how to qualify setups, all things that we dive into thoroughly 3 times a week on our syndicate sessions. And we have deep dives on really just every element of the trader through the stages of building the system, being extremely sharp and disciplined with the system, and then also just what it takes to start scaling your capital and working with more and more. So if you know you're someone that's I'm here to be a trading professional and I want to be around the best, and get feedback constantly to be able to refine my edge and my self-control, then I invite you to check out the syndicate. If you're just kind of dabbling and if you don't know trading's for you, don't do it. But if you're like, I'm tired of blowing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on prop accounts, if I'm tired of just making the same mistakes over and over again, and it's cost you not just months and years, but also money, then I encourage you to check this out and be part of something incredible. A place where we've been able to take traders to 7 figures in funding, to full-time incomes, and just part-time incomes too, you know? So check that out. It's in front of you on the right. Scan that, book your call. And then guys, Fast Track will be starting here in June. So if you're someone who is newer to stuff, to trading in general, or you want to just do 30 days only immersed with the basics, building a system and your technicals, and you want just hands-on work for like every single day for 30 days, then check this out. But with that being said, guys, take care. Have an amazing rest of your day.